Speaker, there we have it. They're the party of excess oil and gas profits. We're the party of working people. Mr. Speaker, talking of parties, Prime Minister, he told the House no rules were broken in Downing Street during lockdown. The police have now concluded there was widespread criminality. The Ministerial Code says that ministers who knowingly mislead the House should resign. Why is he still here?
Hang on a minute. He's just changed his position. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. I mean, we do at least expect some consistency from this human weather vane. It was only a week or so ago where he was saying that I shouldn't resign. He's got to make what is his position, Mr. Speaker? The Met must, the investigators must get on with their job. But in the meantime, they should. In the meantime, Mr. Speaker, we are going to get on with our job. And what we are focusing on is tackling the cost of living, helping people through the spike in fuel prices, the 9.1 billion that the Chancellor has set out, but also, Mr. Speaker, I've mentioned nuclear power, I've mentioned tackling our energy supplies, which Labour totally failed to deal with. What we're also doing, far more important perhaps even than that, Mr. Speaker, we're tackling illiteracy and innumeracy in our schools. And I think we're investing billions in tutoring, Mr. Speaker. That's what we're focusing on, and I think that's what the people of this country want us to focus on.
Keir Starmer.
Look, there are only two possible explanations. Either he's trashing the Ministerial Code, or he's claiming he was repeatedly lied to by his own advisers and that he didn't know what was going on in his own house and his own office. Come off it. He really does think that it's one rule for him and another rule for everyone else. That he can pass off criminality in his office and ask others to follow the law. That he can keep raising taxes and call himself a tax cutter. That he can hike tax during a cost of living crisis and get credit for giving a bit back just before an election. When is he going to stop taking the British public for fools?
Mr. Speaker, this is the leader of the opposition who would have kept this country in lockdown and made it absolutely impossible. He has zero consistency on any issue, Mr. Speaker. But one thing we know about is he would like to take us back into the EU and take us back into lockdown if he possibly could. Thanks to what this government has done, we have unemployment back down to the levels it was before the pandemic. The economy bigger than it was. We have record vacancies, Mr. Speaker. The difference between them and us is they want to keep people, Mr. Speaker, they want to keep people on benefits. We want to help people into work. And that's what we're doing in record numbers. They want to raise taxes. We want to cut taxes. And that's what we're doing, Mr. Speaker. And we're tackling illiteracy. They didn't give a damn, Mr. Speaker. We're getting on with making this country the best place to invest. Last time I updated the House, Mr. Speaker, on the number of unicorns that we had of unicorns in this country. That's tech countries worth more than $1 billion, Mr. Speaker. I said we had 100. I can inform you now, Mr. Speaker, that we now have 120. They don't want to hear it, but let me tell you, that's more than France, that's more than Germany, that's more than Israel, it's more than France, Germany, Israel combined, Mr. Speaker. That's what's happening under this government. That's what's happening because of the tough decisions we've taken. We take the tough decisions, we deliver, they play politics, Mr. Speaker.
Good to see the member for Bridgend in the chamber this afternoon. I commend him for his statement earlier today. Mr. Speaker, last night, millions of families will have been desperately trying to figure out how they will possibly afford the £700 energy price hike that will hit them this Friday. Mr. Speaker, at the very same time, Tory MPs were gathering across the street for a champagne bash in the Park Plaza. We all know that the Tories partied during lockdown and now they're...
Mr Fabricant, Easter is upon us. I don't need you to ruin your Easter. So let's hear, all of you, SNP leader Ian Blackford.
Can shout and scream when we're raising the Tory cost of living crisis, Mr Speaker. Because we all know that the Tories partied during lockdown and now they're partying through the cost of living emergency. Last week, the Chancellor got it badly wrong with the Spring Statement. And ever since, the Prime Minister has been busy briefing against him, saying that more needs to be done. For once, I agree with the Prime Minister. So, if the Prime Minister really believes that more needs to be done, can he tell us exactly what he will order his Chancellor to do to help the millions of families who are facing a £700 price hike this Friday?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank him very much, and I think he's in error in what he says about events last night, but he is, like me, a living testament to the benefits of moderation in all things, Mr. Speaker. And I can assure him that we are getting that this week, for instance, to get to his point, what's happening actually is that the living wage is going up again.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You'll forgive me if I may start, but given the Prime Minister's preferences for both fancy castles and Peppa Pig, he's very welcome to come and visit Zog Playland at Warwick Castle this week. In Warwick and Leamington, as across the country, cost of living crunch is really serious. Energy bills, as we've heard, looking to double by the end of this year. Food up 10 to 15% by year end. Fuel already 22% up year on year. It must be hard for the Prime Minister to stay in touch with financial reality, given that donors and friends pay for flights and holidays and many of his bills. And we also have a $200 million man Chancellor, a $200 million Chancellor, who's so out of touch, he's contactless. Mr. Speaker, the public believes...
You will be sitting down, so please. I hope we've come to the end of the question. Prime Minister.
So out of touch is contactless. Mr. Speaker, the public believes the government...
Shut up and be quiet. Behave yourselves. I hope that's the end of the question. I think the Prime Minister got the gist of it, because I certainly have. Prime Minister.
Can I say to the honourable gentleman, much as I admire his style, I think it would be better as a sort of a light essay in The Guardian. What we're doing, Mr. Speaker, is tackling the cost of living by dealing with the spike in energy prices and making sure that we take the right long-term decisions to take this country forward, which right decisions...
Thank you. Prime Minister, every day I hear from more and more of my Rotherham constituents who are struggling to put food on the table, to keep their lights on, to fuel their cars. The Office for Budget Responsibility estimates the government's measures will only offset falling living standards by a third. This is the biggest financial squeeze since the 1950s. Prime Minister, don't blame Ukraine. Don't blame COVID. This is down to your government's policies and your political choices. Sleep at night.